What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I got Mich out of Kalamazoo. And not just Kalamazoo, all over this great land of ours. He's been everywhere, man. He's a hip-hop artist, rapper, and all-around good community dude. He's also got his own little podcast, and we'll talk about that in the next few minutes. So stick around. Mich. Oh, so excited to let you hear about it. This week's shows. Let's see. Oh, I got two public shows coming up this week. On Friday night, I got my usual Friday night gig, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. It's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Starts at 8 p.m. and goes until 12:30 in the AM. I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. You get to be on stage and sing for the people. Yes, you've been working hard all week. What better way to spend your time with your friends at the Rab? They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, I encourage you to check out the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Yeah, be there. Always a good time. Always. I'm there at least 48 Fridays out of the year. It's only a handful of times that I cannot make it to the show. And then on Saturday, I got another public show just for you. So if you're anywhere in the Clinton, Choctaw, Arkansas area, I'll be at the Choctaw VFW in Choctaw, Arkansas. Yes, Saturday night. It's officially from 9 p.m. until about 12:30, but I'm usually set up by 8 o'clock. So I'm going to say it's 8 p.m. till at least 12:30 in the AM. And we always have a good time at the Choctaw VFW. They got a full bar. They got really nice people that hang out there. They got pool tables, big giant dance floor, lights, all the places and the stage is yours. Another video dance party, karaoke jam, where you get to be the star of the show, sing for the people. So that's two chances to hang out and sing with me, yours truly. Come out to the Rab Friday night, 8 p.m. in Conway, Arkansas, or come out to the Choctaw VFW on Saturday night at 8 p.m. in Choctaw, Arkansas. Oh, yeah. Get there early. Sing. All right. Speaking of singers, speaking of talented people, I got Mr. Mich on the podcast right now. I got him on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Now, I did have, and just a little how the sausage is made. I did have some technical difficulties. We had some problems with the internet when we were doing this the first time. So half of this is going to be recorded 2 weeks ago, and half of it right now, or just a few minutes ago. So when you listen to it, it might be a little uneven, but I think you'll get the gist. So let's Skype Mich now. Look at you all colorful and pretty. Oh, he's so
Thank
pretty.
you very much.
My goodness, man. For those that are listening to the audio version of this, I definitely encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page because Michigan. I say it's Mich or Mich or Michigan. There's a lot of different names that we can go by. What do you like to go by?
Well, Michigan is my stage name, but I've been adding a couple as I go on. You know, the funny thing is when I came to California, they all called me Mich, so I thought I was going to have to change everything to Mich. You know, but Michigan is cool.
You know what's funny is I got here to Arkansas from Miami and the Florida Keys, and KeysDAN has been with me probably 20 years before that. And I think Yeah, it was Dancing Danny G back in the 80s. And then it was KeysDAN when I moved to the Florida Keys. And then it stuck with me. And so that moniker, no matter where I go, I'm going to stay with it. Michigan, you have to represent where you came from, your hometown, Michigan.
Yeah.
What part of Michigan are you from?
Originally, I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Kalamazoo, man. That is like, it's got poetry in the name.
Yeah, from the K to the A to the L to the A to the M to the A to Z to double O, Michigan. So now you know.
Teaching you how to spell. You're not only colorful, but you're fashionable, man. You have all these colors on your body, but then you pick up your microphone and it's got something to it. It's got gold. I'm glad I picked the golden background for our video here because it seems like that's what you are, all about gold and just the love and the feel. I'm listening to your raps, and I'm even watching. You have your own little podcast. I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got different avenues that we need to explore. But tell me about Kalamazoo, Michigan, when you're a little baby Mike in the Kalamazoo.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, I grew up in Kalamazoo, also in Benton Harbor. My parents met at Western Michigan University, and so here's the story. The famous people that I met basically started with them. My dad's from Newark, New Jersey. My mom's from Benton Harbor. They met at Western Michigan, and they were playing piano with Luther Vandross in Henry Hall. So Luther Vandross used to like the way my dad played the keys, and my mom played and sang and played piano as well, and even invited her to go to New York. So he was only there for a semester. So I was conceived in Henry Hall.
Okay, I don't know that much about my history. You know exactly where it all began, where egg met the seed, was formed, and you were actually conceived. Right. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Right. But
yeah, man. Yeah,
you say Luther Vandross was involved with this as well.
Yeah, Luther Vandross, man. You know what? And here's the crazy thing. I lived in New York, KeysDAN, and brother, I got a chance to meet him in front of the Hit Factory. And I was with my friend Starsky, and I asked him, I said, hey, Luther, my dad, Mac, and my mom, Karen, said that they met you in Western Michigan University. You know what he did? Man, he turned around and said, Mac, how's Karen doing? Oh, man, she was so pretty. She had a beautiful voice. She sounded like Dionne Warwick. And then he said, I was just sitting there, and he says, Ack and I looked at each other. We fell out. We knew that he knew what we were talking about.
Man, okay, Luther, definitely. He's music. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been conceived listening to Luther Vandross. And I know I think I began, even before I started this podcast, when we're doing the sound check, I said somewhere out there. I know that's James Ingram, but it's along the same lines where you're like, you listen to music and it can make you feel. I used to run a show called Dan in the Night when I was in South Florida on terrestrial radio. And people would call in and say, if my wife gets pregnant, I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you for playing that good music. And that's the power that you have. You being able to make this music that can change moods, that can make people feel a certain kind of way. Mich, right. You were conceived, partially because of Luther Vandross, but where did it go from there?
Well, like I say, I grew up in Kalamazoo, but I have a interesting story. I went to like 4 or 5 colleges. I was actually a track scholarship with the University of Oregon. But before I get out of there, I grew up with Derek Jeter in the playgrounds playing baseball with him. Is in Kalamazoo and St. Augustine's, and shouts out to DJ. You know what I'm saying? And so I went to University of Oregon, Kent State, Grand Valley, also Monmouth University, Western Michigan University. Did all those things. Wound up going to take an internship in New York City in 1994 to Island Records, and it started to go on there. Always been a musician, always been an athlete. I still stay in shape. I'm a track coach right now. Man, I gotta take this jacket off. Like Pimp C said, the camera ain't got no temperature, man. but the room does.
You know, that's right. I got a fan sitting over here to my right, stage right. I got a side note. Since you mentioned Derek Jeter, one of my favorite SNL episodes was Derek Jeter. He had a skit, Derek Jeter's Taco Hole. For some reason, that just makes me laugh and laugh and laugh. So I'm gonna give a shout out to DJ myself, because it was he was singing, selling tacos. Derek Jeter's Taco Hole. Man, it was like set to a Beach Boys song, the Kokomo, the Aruba, I have the. Oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, one of my favorites. But entertainment, man, and
Great guy.
you're
Great
an
guy,
athlete,
man, champion.
You're an athlete. Have you been running your whole life? Like run, Forrest, run, Mike, Mich, run.
Man, it seems like it, man. You know what I mean? I like to stay in shape. I like to still play basketball. I keep my handles. I don't go out on the court and tell too many people how old I am. But I was a really good athlete growing up. Really fortunate to have a great coach. Tico Duckett was a teammate of mine. Coach, his father was our coach. Coach Duckett still at the Kalamazoo Nordics teaching now, 55 years strong. And his son and I just had a nice conversation. Mr. T.J. Duckett, the NFL great Hall of Famer from Michigan, really good friend of mine. I grew up with T.J. Well, basically seeing T.J. come through the whole thing, and I remember training him and hooking him up with my younger brother, so they're friends. And we know it's just really Kalamazoo is one of those special places where it's not just Derek, but it's Greg Jennings, it's T.J. Duckett, it's the great Sam Mitchell that played with the Fab Five, Lindsey Tarpley, the soccer Olympian, Noah Herron, Chris Crawford. Gosh, I can go on and on and on with a lot of people that didn't quite get there, but there's quite a few that was there and they're at the top. So, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody out there as well. You know what I mean? But I had my track greatness. I still got my long jump record there. 24, 8 and 3/4 inches in the long jump. And that's what got me a scholarship to the University of Oregon. And, I take pride in that because I had broke my leg twice in high school playing football, some kind of way. And I didn't even get a chance to play baseball in high school because I was a track athlete. But all of that transcended, during all that time, I also learned how to, play music. And so I had been playing music since I was a child. Since second grade, learned how to play the clarinet, bass clarinet, the drums. I keep all my instruments still today. You know what I'm saying? Just for everybody out there, you know what I mean. So you're sitting here in my life. It's precious, man. You just gotta keep going. I just say I'm from a small midtown city, and just have real big dreams. And when you get out there, you just never know how connected 1 degree you're away from everything.
Well, Mike Michigan, I'm glad you're giving credit where credit is due, giving shout outs to people that have helped you along the way. And, teachers, oh my goodness, you just don't know how powerful and how strong a teacher is after all these years. And I'm not going to say how old you are. You might be years old, which is no problem. Once I turned 50, right. I didn't worry about age anymore. Before that, I used to be self-conscious being in this business we call show, this entertainment business, because you have a shelf life. Men, I think we get a little bit more forgiven, for our age. We can play a little bit older, a little bit younger, whatever. Women, I think they might have a little bit more of a problem with the shelf life thing. Once they get to a certain age, it's hard to find jobs, especially in, I guess even in music and in film and acting and stuff like that. But I know that, there is wisdom to be gotten from people that are a bit older, and you say that you have a teacher that's been doing it, 55 years? That's a lot of years to be teaching. That's fantastic.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Duckett. He's still teaching. And, like TJ said the other day in our interview with each other, he's still influencing 15-year-olds all the way up to generations like still today to my age and his age. So, like I said, shout out to Coach Duckett and Coach Lukens. And we had some really good coaches. And you're right. Teachers are so important. My mom was a teacher. She was a retired teacher. I was a teacher. I'm still teaching with the children right now. But, the greatest reward is I guess as a teacher is being able to see the different generations and things that you can give so many people.
Well, you brought up your mom. She's a teacher, and shout out to the teachers of the world. What grade did she teach? Did she teach the little ones that you could shape their minds, or did she teach the older ones that might bring weapons to school? I'm so scared for the teachers. Oh my goodness! But what kind of teaching did she do?
Well, thank goodness. Yeah. Big shouts out to all the teachers, number one, and God protection on all umbrella on all the schools and all the teachers everywhere as much as you can. But when she was doing that, that was actually her second. She had retired from Upjohn. The Upjohn company used to be what is now Pfizer. So she had worked her way up from Western Michigan and worked her way up to dry products packaging and became a supervisor. And my mom even became a hire. She became in the human resources at Upjohn and then became pharmacia. And she did a lot of hiring. And that was really important in my community because a lot of people that, looked like me didn't really have jobs and getting into those type of positions. So shout out to my mom. And then she retired when it became Pfizer. And she actually went back to school, got her master's, and then started teaching second grade and then had another 25-year career before she retired. So I come from a long heritage of people that are hard workers, and they stay dedicated to what they're doing. I've been making music, goodness, since like second grade, but like professionally, I've had a publishing company with CSAC for like 27 years. I've lived in New York. I live in California. I've met my name is Mich, Mike Mich, and I got it from Biggie. Biggie gave me my name in 1994. It was crazy. So, I've met Pac.
No. Don't bury that. Don't bury that.
I've been writing.
Don't bury that. How did Biggie give you your name? Why, you got together? All right, you met Biggie and Tupac. I'm hearing that already. But how did Biggie give you your name?
Yeah. Well, Biggie gave me my name. Okay, so it was 1994, and I was interning at Island Records, and I happened to move to Brooklyn. And the street that I live on basically is gone now, but it was Vanderbilt. I was sitting on my stoop, and this young man came back called Bobby Ism, came holding a flyer, handed me this flyer, and I looked at it, and I was like, Biggie Smalls, who is that? He's like, yo, you don't know who Biggie Smalls is? Man, I'm finna take you and show you who Biggie Smalls is, not knowing that we have been singing all this and that. So I had only been in Brooklyn about 1 week. And so I had to go to the studio where I had met Doc Scorpion around Paul Robeson Theater. Shouts out to Doc Scorpion, everybody. And what he did is he sent the local guy, Aaron, who knew everybody in Brooklyn in the block. So nobody messed with Aaron because he was that cool kid. So he was like, yeah. Take Aaron. Aaron, go with Nicolay. Go to the show. Tell him when you guys go and have a good time. Come back, tell me what's going on. I'm like, okay, cool. So we all walking down the street, having a great time, KeysDAN there. And so we get there, and I kid you not, we walk in, and you remember the duck, Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny? When Daffy saw the gold, he just stopped. And then Bobby Ism was talking to his friends, but I just beeline towards Biggie. Now, Biggie, it was like he was a sumo wrestler. It was a gigantic circle around him, and nobody was around him. But he had his back turned. But me being from the Midwest, I don't know no better. I go up and I tap him on the shoulder. And then he whips around on me real quick. And his eye was right in my face. He was right over me. And he was so big, he was hovering over, no pun, but big was big. He was hovering over me and he was looking at me right here in my face. And I was like, hey, big, my name is Mike, man. I'm from Michigan. He goes, word, Mike Mich, what's up? And I go, yo, man, I got this show called The Rooftop, and it's a film show, and I want to videotape you on top of like Brooklyn or Manhattan overlooking some fly stuff, and we can talk about your career and everything. And he turned around, and he goes, word, Mike Mich, I like that. And he dapped me up, and he says, yo, go tell Puff, I told Puff to give you, go tell Puff I said give his card to you. And he dapped me up again, you know what I'm saying? And he turned around, and he walked up and he got on stage, and Mr. C was up there, and he was like, and he was like, live from Bedford-Stuyvesant, the livest one representing BK. And then, oh my God, the Eric came running to me. He was like, yo, son, Biggie just gave you love in the club. Do you know what that means? And then Bobby Islam was like, I can't believe you just did that, B. But that was so fly. And that's how I got my name from Biggie.
Bravery, man, and boldness is how you got your name. You met the greatness. Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G. He's another man that's had several names in his career when he was around. And that's, oh my goodness. See, that's a story that you have in the back of your head. And 1994 was a time a crossroad, something that changed your whole entire direction. Yeah. So Mich. Yeah, and I know they do that for a lot of people. If you move to a new town, they're going to give you the name of the town that you came from. Hey, what's up, New York? You just moved to Miami. Hey, what's up, New York? Or you moved to San Francisco. Hey, what's up, Michigan? You're here. That is something that Biggie Smalls gave to you. Now, how did you get from Michigan to New York? Yeah. What brought you there?
Well, I was in my senior year at Western Michigan University.
Okay.
And for some reason, I had so many credits, but for some reason, I just was like, I needed a break. So I took an independent study class, which was my internship. I called Island Records and set it up. And the lady, the girl that called and I said, yes, my name is Michael McClendon and I'd like to have an internship and I go to Western. She's like, fine, just come to New York. I was like, for real? And her name was Gloria Esteban. Come to find out, Liz Esteban, excuse me. She was Gloria Esteban's cousin. So when I finally, and oh my goodness, getting to New York, that's a whole nother story. But just know that the first person that I talked to in New York City, when I walked around aimlessly for 2 hours trying to get to Island Records, there was a gentleman in a red Corvette, open top. And I said, hey, brother, man, can you tell me where Island Records is? And he turned around real quick and said, Island Records? It's over there somewhere. Of course, it was Chris Rock. And then like I was on Lafayette. And then it was like he parked in front of this Tower Records. I'll never forget. Russell Simmons came out the side door and got in the convertible with him. I'll never forget that. And then so I looked over and I was like, there enough, there was the building. And so I went in there and I walked in and I met Liz and I thought I was going to be working for her. And she said, hi, Nicolay. And there was a writer in there for The Source. I think his name was Black Dot. I think Black Dot was his name. I met him. He was like, but he wasn't really kind to me for some reason. I don't understand it. But I was really hyped anyway because he worked for The Source. I didn't really, mind that he was just kind of blowing me off a little bit. But I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Because I thought I was going to start my internship. I'm all happy. And then she took me to a whole nother department and says, this is the internship where you're going to be working for. And it happened to be Earl Sellers and Luana Graves. And they had their luggage in the room. And they said, oh, our intern is here. And they were like, well, look. And Luana came up to me and says, okay, what's your name? I said, Nicolay. She said, oh, hi, Nicolay. Well, look, we're going to be leaving. We're going to New Orleans with Ronnie Jordan and the gospel singer. Goodness, her name forgives me. But they were going together for the Jazz Fest in New Orleans. And they were going to be out of the office for a couple of weeks. And I had to just sit there and man the office, not answer the phones. And then Earl Sellers, I'll never forget this. Earl came up to me and he says, hey, I got you to do something for me tonight. All right. Now I want you to talk to nobody. Don't tell nobody my business. You just listen to what I say. Here's my number. If you need anything, you call me. But first of all, I need you to do me a big favor tonight, right? So he turns around and Keys, man, he gives me this record. He gives me 2 records. Paid in full, 2 copies, the full Eric B. and Rakim album, paid in full, brand new vinyls, and this record called Shockadema and Pliers. I never had heard of them. He told me, he says, look, you're going to take these records to the Palladium and you're going to go right to the front. I don't care how long the line is. You're going to go right to the front and you're going to hold these records up front and you're going to say, Earl Sellers told me to take these to the DJs tonight, right now. So sure enough, I went back home to Jersey, got changed, took the records all the way home, carried them on the subway, the L train, didn't let nothing happen to it, didn't even have a crate, just carrying records. And then I carried the records all the way the same way back to New York, got to the door, I turned in to get to the Palladium. They let me in. I couldn't believe it. It worked. I came in. The next thing you know, I made an immediate left. Here is Funk Master Flex and Big Cap. Rest in peace, Big Cap. Big Cap saw me. He's like, yeah. Snatched the record out of my hand, ripped the vinyl, ripped the plastic off, and all of a sudden he was dippa 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 dip. I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Dippa, dippa, and then Flex was like, yeah, let me see those other records. So they got like six or seven turntables. I mean, like the gold like this microphone, turntables, man, all over there, right? And I give Flex the other one. So the next thing you know, Cap is over there mixing this Eric B. and Rakim album like for almost a half an hour, and then Flex comes in, doom 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 doom, and they started going back and forth like a harmony. I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Dippa, dippa. I know this little girl. Her name is Maxie. So I'm like, and then they came out like doom 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 doom. I ain't no joke. They was mixing that Eric B. and Rakim and that Shaka Pliers, and so I was realizing I was breaking a record. And so it was the craziest vibe. And so I was in that studio with those guys for at least 2 hours. It was so much energy. And I asked Cap, I was like, Big Cap, is it okay if I go, man? I want to get some water. He was like, yeah, homie, good looking out. And so then I went to the party. And also that night, so at the Palladium, what happened to be that night was Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt album release party. And so Jay came up on stage with just his hat, his white suit, one little thin champagne glass, and a bottle of Mo, or whatever it was, black, whatever it was, pink and whatever.
All right, party people. This is where we had some technical difficulties. I recorded that part 2 weeks prior to the next part. So let's get back to the show with Mich.
I do remember him. Yeah, man. So I was, like I said, so then I was there with Big Cap and like I said, Funkmaster Flex in the booth for a while, and they was going back and forth with the Shaka Demon Pliers record. And then I stepped out the booth, and then some Ruckus had came on, and then all of a sudden it was De La Soul. It was Mace and True Boy, and they moved me to the side. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of just did like this in front of the people and stuff like that, man. And then Jay got on stage with this one little bottle of champagne in his little glass. And sorry about that. Sorry about that, brother. I shouldn't be phone people doing too much. Anyway, and then that was just the greatest. It was a great night. You know, great to start your internship. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you know, I have
great to see you, Dan. Great to see you again, man.
Good to see you. For those that are rejoining us, internet problems aside, welcome back to the show, and I will give my apologies in a little bit. But I have a very great affinity for De La Soul. Okay, I remember one of my favorite Yo MTV raps was when De La Soul came on, and it was a De La Day. It was Ed Lover and the original Dr. Dre on Yo MTV Raps, and it was a De La Day, and De La Soul was on there, and they were playing not just their videos, but also their favorite songs. I do appreciate when artists come up with their favorite songs, and I know that was a kind of a segue to what are your favorite artists? What are your favorite people that, as you're growing up, that these are the people that are influencing you and your style of music?
Well, that's really a great question, Dan. Thank you so much. Well, over the years, you know, I've always liked Biggie and Pac like everybody else. But, you know, I'm a Redman fan, KRS-One. I'm eclectic because I like a lot of the old school guys, a lot of the guys through the golden era. You know, I really enjoy a lot of the great hip hop. But really MCs that I respect nowadays, you know, like, of course, the Eminems and the LL Cool J's and the Dr. Dre's, because I also respect the producers and the musicians. So I look at it like, you know, right now I'm into collecting vinyl. So I love James Brown. I'm loving going back to getting some jazz greats like some Crusaders or some Ronnie Laws or Herb Alfred and George Clinton and all kind of crazy things. You know what I'm saying? So I have an eclectic ear because I like, you know, I like all kind of music. I can remember growing up listening to country music with my uncle, and then my mom was a songbird, so she would sing everything on that came on the air and everything. So, but right now, to answer that in the short, if I was to turn on my favorite, and I would have to listen to my favorites besides listening to myself, excuse me, Mariah Carey, I like myself too. You can dig it. But I like Kendrick Lamar. I like Redman, like I said, KRS-One. I like people who are very inspiring. Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, guys that can really go right now still. And then being out west, a lot of the Bay Area stars, E40 really, really impresses me too as a businessman and as an entertainer.
A lot of the rappers that you mentioned, the through line to those, even though there's some 80s, some 90s, and some into the 2000s, some of those rappers, a lot of those rappers were storytellers, are storytellers. KRS-One, I think isn't he the educated rapper? And he kind of tells a story and gives lessons while he's doing his rhymes. Yeah. LL Cool J, Lady Lover, Cool James. Once again, he tells a lesson, tells a story while he's doing his raps. And Eminem, of course, he has, whatever inspired him and all the other people that you're talking about, that they got inspired by how they grew up and the streets that they came from. And they don't forget the streets that they came from, no matter how big they are. They can make millions and millions of dollars and selling lots of vinyl. This is something that the kids are getting back into. Vinyl. I miss my thousands of records. I'm glad that you're starting to collect vinyl. I think I only have 2 records left. I have Jimi Hendrix Experience, and I have Billy Craone, Dream to Reality. It's hanging up on my wall because he was on the podcast. These are the only 2 records that I've had left out of the thousands, but I don't even have a turntable anymore. Do you still have a turntable? Look at you. Look at you. Hold on a second. Bam.
Crazy classic.
Now you have that James Brown hot. You said, look at that.
And then I found this one. Whew.
Now, are these for those that are listening to the audio version of this? He's got a James Brown record. And what was the other record you had up there?
That was Isaac Hayes' Movement record.
Now, are these reissues or are they original vinyl? It's hard to find the original vinyl anymore.
Yeah, these are original. I found a spot up here, digging in the crates, as they say, and just go ahead and found them. And it's a hobby of mine. I've got them spread out. My wife gets mad at me for getting more and more records every day, but I can't help it.
Well, that's something I miss so much about the record stores. When I was growing up, I guess back in '86, when I was just a little tiny baby DJ, I was just getting out of high school and I was getting into college and I was starting to become, I was starting to become a professional broadcaster, a DJ, and doing my thing. And there was a little corner in Fort Lauderdale, in Broward, where I graduated high school, where it had a video game parlor called McSugar's. Behind that, there was the movie theater, but right next door to the video game parlor was the local record store. And that guy had my number. Every time I pulled up in my red Mustang with the bass lines all over it, yes, I had pinstripes on the window that looked like a pulse bass lines, okay? And I had a pretty good system in there that was kind of homemade and funky. But every time I pulled up in my red Mustang, that guy from the record store would go, Dan, I got something for you. He had my number. He knew I wanted the records. I wanted the latest vinyl. I wanted the and a poster, maybe a poster to go with that to put up on my bedroom wall. But I miss, you said going through the stacks. I miss thumbing through and getting that, there's something new. And they would have a listening booth. You would have a booth that you could go put that platter on the turntable, take a listen to it, maybe even listen, play for the whole store and end up being the DJ for the whole store for that moment. I mean,
how about that?
Do you have a local record store? Give them a shout out. I want them to get the recognition. Do you have a local place that you get records still?
There's a local spot around. Well, I found this place. Where was I at yesterday? It was kind of. It was in San Francisco, actually.
Okay.
Sorry it took me so long. I was trying to remember where I was. I was in San Francisco, and it was called the Beat Museum.
That makes a
Matter
lot
of
of
fact,
sense. You know,
it was called the Beat Museum.
I just got I was just talking to my wife this morning. She said that the local store that used to sell records, used to sell tapes and CDs, they're not going to be selling DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. Everything's going streaming. This is movies are going streaming now. And I don't see.
But you know what?
Go ahead.
You know what, Dan, though? I'm an old school man with the dinosaur. I think we should have a right to keep one television hooked up with a VHS, one TV hooked up with a DVD player, Atari, PlayStation, Sega, I don't care, whatever. Just got to have at least two stations because some of that good old stuff used to work really great, man. I mean, shouts out to all the good new stuff, but, I still don't see what was wrong with the CD player, to be honest with you.
Well, before I gave up my turntables, I started digitizing everything. There was interfaces back in the late 90s, early 2000s where you can plug into your computer. You can have a turntable and have it plugged into your computer at some kind of interface, maybe USB. I can't even remember how it even tied in. But I remember recording digitally all my vinyl before, any of the vinyl that I still had left over, any cassette tapes, I put them all digital, and now I have them all on several hard drives. There's very little need for me to carry a lot of vinyl. I have my, my Pioneer DDJs that I use to control the music off of the computer, and I can mix, I can scratch, I can do all what I used to do on my vinyl, but I just don't need to. Me being an old man, and I guess, we're getting into this age, I have no need for vinyl anymore. But I miss the nostalgia of going to a record store. I'm glad that you have that place in San Francisco.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. If you go, it's good to. Before we left off, the shout out to storytellers, to Slick Rick, and also to Big Daddy. I said Big Daddy Kane already, but shouts out to Slick Rick on the storytelling stuff.
Oh my gosh, Children's Story and Lottie Dottie, they blew my mind when they first came out, and I'm sure they blew lots of minds. I'm sure they sold lots of records. But Children's Story is just a kid going through and telling about his whole day and maybe embellishing a little bit. Or maybe not. Yeah, maybe there was a
science. I think that's a missed science. I mean, but as we just saw with the 50th year of hip hop, most of those artists that are respected and honored are the ones that came with a story, and a lot of those stories came, through a lot of those different golden years. And I can't not stop shout out to Curtis Blow too, because he started it off really. I mean, there's a lot of starts here and there and there and there, and then the West Coast, they're like, well, we haven't started until 10 more years from now. So, what I think for everybody out there, no matter where you are and no matter what genre you're in and whatever you do, just respect, whatever craft that you're in and do your very best and just be happy about being creative.
Oh, I'm going to encourage.
Don't worry about the next person.
I'm going to encourage my loyal listener to go back and watch Crush Groovin' and get your body moving. That movie broke out so many great artists, and not just the rappers. They also had, a few of the singers that were in there. The Disco 3, man. The Disco 3, also known as the Fat Boys. Those guys, love them. Because I'm a bit chunkier.
How magical you are. Look, check this out, brother. Look at that.
Oh, my goodness. He's got Crush Groove, the record, right in his hands. Looking at it. Oh, look at that. That is fantastic, man. At your fingertips, within arm's reach.
Yeah, that's a lucky one right there. Well, I just, what happened was I also have a podcast as well, and we called I'm From the Zoo. And we were fortunate to have a friend of mine who's a guest. His name was Kier Worthy. And Kier was a digging in the crates guy too. So I happen to have a bunch of like records ready, on that kind of form, and that the kind of people that he was involved in, and that happened to be one of us. That's crazy that you just said that. I just happen to have it right there.
Right there. Well, I'm always looking for a new podcast. I get to drive around for about 8 hours a day, and I'm listening to the podcast in my ear all the time. What is the name of that podcast once again? And I will put the link in the show notes for sure.
Oh wow! Well, we just got started. It's called "I'm from the Zoo." Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And what it is it's myself and my co-host B Dub on the Come Through Network with my executive producer Kiki out in Los Angeles, and she's really great with what she does. And Dub and I grew up together, and we decided to have a show about Kalamazoo. I'm from the zoo, and then everything connected to the zoo. And so it started out, Dan, to be we're going to do we're headline we're highlighting everything Kalamazoo, from our greatest athletes to our best pop cultures to people winning, winning coaches. We even got badminton and ping pong and tennis champions. So it's all kind of things going on. And then we also time in with, like I could have you as a guest. We would love to have you as a guest on the show. You know what I mean?
I've been nowhere near Kalamazoo. My goodness. But I've heard, Kalamazoo is such a comical name and a pop culture name. When they go, I've been from Kansas to Kalamazoo. That's like something right. that you say, like I've been from here to Kalamazoo. And it's a great city. But I want you to go to your local tourist bureau and let them know that you're doing this podcast and you're giving them free advertising. Whenever I hear about certain places like Kalamazoo, I put them on the What Makes You Famous walking tour. So I want people to go to Kalamazoo. Give me some brush highlights. What is there to do in Kalamazoo?
Well, growing up in Kalamazoo, we were really sports friendly. So there was a lot of little leagues and a lot of Pee-wee leagues, a lot of family oriented things. You know what I mean? So I've been away from Kalamazoo for a while. You know what I mean? And just like a lot of other places in play, there's goods and there's highs and there's lows. But when I was growing up there, it was a lot of fun for the children. And then we rolled over as teenagers, became very competitive. And during our era, there was like Derek, like I said, Derek Jeter and Tico Duckett. And then there was later rounds, there came TJ Duckett and Greg Jennings and Lindsey Tarpley, an Olympic soccer player, and Noah Heron, football player, and just all kind of people, Chris Crawford, and then, drivers and, like I said, other people you might not know, but they've done a lot of things, singers and opera singers and coaches and, so it's a lot of deep rooted things that go on at different levels we want to highlight.
No, it's nice to have pride in where you came from, the particular dirt that you grew up on. And I know you've been all over this country of ours, all around, spreading your music and love. But I just found the Like Minds Z 420. It's Like Mine and then z420.com/zoo. Yeah. And that's the place to find it. I'm looking on your Facebook feed right here and 3 days ago. So are you doing this live or is this pre-recorded on Wednesdays at 8 p.m.?
Well, that's a great question. We actually have been taping on Wednesdays and we have a link that, for the audience to be able to tune in if they'd like. And then we do the rebroadcast at 8 o'clock West Coast time, 11 o'clock East Coast time. And we're doing pretty well. We're three shows in. We got a really exciting show coming up this week. I might as well go ahead on and say, because we've confirmed, we got Mr. John Blassingame as our guest. And he's a pioneer in a lot of industries within the urban entertainment, but mainly through publishing. In publishing and fashion. He's the brother that put the magazine in the stands, like in the Hudson News, when you go to the airport and see all those big magazines and things like that. He was the one to get like Ebony and Upscale Magazine and Jet and these type of things and Black Hair and type things like that. So, and then that led on to fashion and movies and, just being a pioneer of someone because, he's in his 80s. So we look really forward to doing that, and it was a privilege to have him on the show.
Solid. See, that's another thing is print. Now you're talking about print. I used to, when I was on the radio, in terrestrial radio, especially on the morning show, one of the first things I would do was grab a couple of magazines and the newspaper on the way into the studio. This way I'd have something to talk about between records while I'm playing some music. Or if I was on a talk radio, I would have something to talk about for 4 hours, because it's hard to spread things off the top of your head. You need to have something in front of you. Now it's the internet. Now it's all online. Once again, streaming, picking up newspapers, picking up a Jet magazine, picking up an Ebony, picking up your favorite, your Rolling Stone magazine.
And I know everybody picked up the Jet magazine at least to look at the beauty of the week. I don't care where you were at.
At least, at the very least. Yes. Yeah. And it's pop culture. You watch Eddie Murphy on Boomerang, and he goes, he references his look. It's Jet magazine, baby. It's something that's part of the zeitgeist of the world. But now is print dead? I mean, I still see magazines. I still see racks. But have I bought a magazine? Have I bought a newspaper in the longest time? Right. Not really. I want to. I want to pick one up.
And that was the bad, because, we used to love to get those magazines. When I being a MC, you had to have the source. You had to have the Word Up magazine. If you was the girls, you needed to have the Teen magazine. If you were under pop culture, you had to have Teen Beat and what was the other one? The Dick Clark. I mean, they all had different magazines that you would come out with, and no matter what it was. But I do miss the magazine part of. I was a baseball guy, so I used to get just whatever, But you're right, and the digital just doesn't feel the same.
Well, I mean, the early,
especially when it pops up and it says pay $1 so you can read this article.
That's true. I mean, everything on the internet. Now we're so used to it being free. Everything on the internet, they're starting to push back now. Don't get me started on Elon Musk and X. See, he has totally messed up Twitter. Oh my goodness! It used to be so nice to put stuff up there.
I've had to turn that one off in a while, man. That probably doesn't help me, but with my global, but I can't do that one for some reason.
I know that a lot of artists, a lot of celebrities have broken it down to one thing. Maybe Instagram, just Instagram, only Instagram, because it's put up a picture. Let them know where you're going to be. Let them know what you've been doing, and get out of there. Post and ghost. But you're talking about. I remember even in the mid to late '80s to the early '90s when I was grabbing some magazines. Some of those magazines would put a CD in those magazines, and they would give you something new, something that hasn't quite broken out yet. I would get artists, play them at the clubs, play them at my shows, play them on the radio. I'll go, wow, that sounded pretty good. And then like 2-3 months later, they're number one on the Billboard. They're top 10 on the Billboard chart. And you got that record 3 months early. That's important.
You can I'm sorry to add on what you're saying, man. You could also go on those magazines and find the people that you're trying to really connect with. Just like, just like you said, you go and have those already played. You've already broken them worldwide, and here they turn out to be a hit. And it was right there on KeysDAN first. You dig it, like that.
Sometimes it is important to be first, but as long as we're pushing each other along, as long as we're getting the word out about Mich, I know the story that you got that name from Biggie. That tickled me. That tickled me to no end, that he was like, it's a simple thing. If you have somebody, I'm from Miami, I'm from the Florida Keys. And right. What's your name? Dan. Where are you from? Keys. Okay, you're Keys now. You're KeysDAN.
Right.
That's where you're at.
That makes smooth sense.
And you're Mike from Michigan, but names, what's in names. But it's so good that you're doing a lot, not only to break your own music out, but also to spread the word about your community, about the people in your neighborhood, because you start locally and then you think globally. And you're getting it all over the world. I'm so impressed by you, Mich. And I know that we had our technical difficulties on this one, but I'm glad that we're finally back here. But all right, you got out of you were in New York back in the mid '90s. That where are you heading from there?
Well, after that, I went back home to Kalamazoo and I joined up with my band, which was the Urbanites. And at that time, we were a 12-member live hip hop band. And like we kind of rivaled the Roots at that time. And we had so many different members. Everybody's gone off and had, pretty, really, really great careers. And within the group, and we also continued to work the group, with each other. But then I helped start. So after we kind of went our separate ways, musically, I started working with another group called Mich, and that's my partner Jack the Mac. He created that, and then Jack is super duper producer, well known all over Texas, Arizona, Michigan, and that's our Mich team. And we actually grew up together playing Pee Wee basketball. My dad was a coach, and we won a lot of championships. And Cal was NBA's spectacular level. Him and my brother Mark. And we just had the team, and nobody could beat us. So, shouts out to them. And then, I'm going fast, but these were probably. And then I got married, and my wife at the time was an MC, Miss Jess, and she was like the female Eminem. She was really good, and we had a couple children, my babies, so we had a nice family, raised my family, still pursued it. Life happens, things go, people go their own ways, do things, but I'm still connected there. I'm on my babies every day. I'm like, pause, dad raising them, like, they're in high school and all of that good stuff now. And then my son is older and he's doing very well for himself. And so, so I'm really happy about them. And so it's kind of like, I got a chance to focus on myself. And then I went through a setback like anybody else would. I lost every single thing. I can't say, but they walked away. Everything that I had worked on walked away. And I mean, like backups and backups of backups and backups. I was transferring something to somewhere to the next, and they just walked away. And that almost made me stop. And I just couldn't do it because, it's not who I am. It's not who I am to quit. So I decided to start my business over, refresh, started my LLC on KeysDAN Global Enterprises, started releasing all my music on my new label, my own personal company. That's been a benefit. That's been a blessing. You learn more being a business owner and all the growing pains of my business is still young, and I'm just trying to profit and do things. But as I got also older, I also got a chance to start my ministry, so I have a ministry now, Unlimited Ministries, Unlimited Energies Ministries, you know what I'm saying? Because like everybody's a minister to somebody, KeysDAN, you're a minister to all your listeners out there and your followers for years, you know what I'm saying? Taking all the homies and everybody following and taking care of what you got to do, all your fans, So like when you give, so now I'm working with children, coaching track and field or baseball or, whatever the fundamentals, kind of trying to stay away from football because it's like, not so slow violent. You know what I mean? Sorry, NFL. It is what it is. But we want to keep these kids healthy and strong. A lot of soccer players, a lot of children like soccer. And it's too much running for me, but it's cool. They're young. They can handle it. But so we do the ministry. And but I think my goals with that, Dan, I want, like you said, man, I want to dream big and dream globally and use some of the people. When I say use, I mean use some of the people that I've known and met, and we all come together for a big, better cause, to raise money for something that we or decide on or multiple things we decide on and try to help people at the end of the year or quarterly or things like that.
Well, right now we're doing the gospel of Mich, and it's nice to be a person of the community, but I do want to go back to when you were talking about the Urbanites with 12 people on the stage. And I know I've mentioned Eddie Murphy once on this podcast, but I remember he had a routine where he would he was talking about the doo-wop groups from the 50s and 60s, like all the
Yeah.
if there's big rap groups, like if there's 12 people on stage, all 12 people have a microphone. Now, did all 12 of your people have a microphone, or did they all share that one microphone in the middle where they had to come back to it and go doo doo?
What a great question, because it is a lot of us. Well, you know what? Interesting. Our drummer, Mike is okay. Mike is the maestro. He played the drums and the keys, and Tony Ozier played the keys and the drums. So they would get up and flip flop during different songs. Then we had bass player, which was G Rock, and we also had another drummer, which was Tate McBoom later. But in the original group, it was Micus Nelson. We call him anonymous, Nano, the maestro. We got Tony Ozier. Tony is dynamite out there in Portland right now. R&B king. Go check him out on all these people you can check on Spotify or your favorite whatnot. And we're all tied together. My man Akstar, Accurate Mathematics is my guy. He's still out in Los Angeles. He actually works with Uncle Jam's Army, producing artists out there in LA. I mean, and my man San Solo, my guy, my brother is in New York City. That's my bro. He's in New York, of course. Solo's been in New York City, and he was also a teacher, and he also taught hip hop in school. He was one of the first ones to do that. He's in the LL Cool J Source magazine for that. That's going back. He was in the crew. He would have a microphone. Who else would have a microphone? Would be Rock. Rocky Melanoff is his name, but he's Prophet for Chicago. And he's probably one of the dopest MCs you never know, but he was glued to our camp. And he actually in some midst of some different things right now. I want to tell all his business, but some real big guys, I don't is looking at him or something like that. Let's just say that. But shouts out to Rock now, you know what I'm saying, my buddy. So look, we also did movies. He also was working with me on the pizza delivery and the screenwriting. So Prophet, Act, we all still work together throughout the years. And then there's J.E., James Eternal. James Eternal has got a ridiculous catalog. His catalog is this big, you know. It's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? You'll be listening for like a whole week long. Shouts out to J.E., that's my guy. Can't wait to get him on the podcast. And goodness, guys, Shock Love plays bongos. He does therapy and massages and things like that. He's great at his own business, but he also plays bongos. And then, of course, G-Rock. I said G-Rock is doing his thing. So, and then DJ Dynamite, rest in peace. My brother DJ Dynamite was the glue to us all for so long. And I got to give him his love. And then he just passed on to glory, as did Tony Ozier's brother, Rashad, and our Sergeant Oz in our crew. So we have a couple of our original members, but we keep their spirit with them strong. And that's why we just keep on pushing there, Dan. You dig it? You know, you got to move every day.
I'm glad you're giving credit to credit, or where credit is due. We cannot do this all by ourselves. I've said that so many times on this podcast. And what it is you're not only helping yourself by doing a show like this, but you're also helping other people around you. We're supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be building each other up. When you look down at someone else, it better be to be grabbing their hand and picking them up to your level, you know, and maybe even pushing them up higher. You know, when somebody that I know is doing better than me, I'm not jealous. You know, I go, that's pretty good. I'm glad he's doing great, you know, and then figure out how I can get a little bit better. You know, how can I get on a different level, you know, and hopefully, you know, you build up those communities, you build up those relationships, and they last for your lifetime. It's not just a one shot deal where you know, get on stage and you play one show and then you never see these people again. I hope that you're building, you know, I'm glad that you're building these communities, building these relationships. And I'm glad that you're breaking them out.
That's amazing you said that. Yeah, because I'm sorry. I mean, you said that because like the guys that I just mentioned, we've been friends for 30 years and we're still close. We, you know, like I said, we worked together still throughout the years, even though we had went our separate ways. And one thing, you know, that is the key. You just said it, Dan. You know, like if someone that you help or you work with goes on and does something and they still, you know, still keep you as a parallel, like, hey man, let's keep working together. You know, that's really where it is. You know, that's really the secret. That's kind of a karmic secret. You know what I'm saying? I just used to help people, man, to be a good person. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of cool that the good guy wins sometimes. You know what I mean? Because we're supposed to win sometimes, Dan. You know what I mean?
Sometimes the good guys finish first, man. Yes.
Sometimes this happens like that. You dig it? You know what I mean? And look, and like I'm never like I remember when I would go to certain places and like at a younger age, and I would talk about, hey man, I met this guy, whoop, 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 and this girl, and I'm here and there, and I could see the strange looks on people's faces and body language. Because I went to college, I peeped out game and communications, and I could feel it, and I could sense it. So I just decided to like not make my life all about a bragging thing. It's just whatever God, however he wants to move you. You know what I'm saying? And when I started doing that, he opened the door for he or she, whatever you want to say, opened the door for bigger and better things. And then when you go through things in life, they help you to put things into perspective. And then when you get perspective, you get more discernment. And then when you get more discernment, you realize that there's time. And then when you realize that there's time, you realize that there's a rush to get stuff done. So I mean, I'm at that point right now, man, where I'm kind of just trying to be smooth and put all that together at the same time.
That's just it. Once you get older and you get wiser and you start to figure out that things don't make much of a difference anymore. As long as you're making a living, you're keeping a roof over your head, and maybe helping a few other people while you're at it. You start with your family and your friends, and then you work out into your community. You're already doing the steps. You're already walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Just by coaching the kids, you're becoming a mentor to them. They're going to remember you for the rest of their lives as well. Oh, I remember Coach Mich. I don't even know what they call you. Don't even worry about it.
They call me Coach Mac.
Coach Mac, because you're McClendon Global Enterprises LLC. I love that. I love that you've built a brand. You're building a community amongst your peers, amongst your people around. The people that are around you. Reach out and help them as much as you can. I mean, we're not rich. We're not multi-billionaires. Hopefully, those people don't keep accumulating money without giving back. Give a little bit back. Right. You've been blessed.
It feels good for yourself to do something, I'm just noticing, man, it feels good to just be a good person and do things, and you don't always have to put it all on the internet or shout out everything you do. You just kind of go on about your business and do good things for people when you got an opportunity to do them. You know what I'm saying? And also, I wanted to give shouts out to my parents, man, my mom and my dad and my grandparents, and my stepdad, my big Butch, and just, Tone Jack, a couple big brothers, Rob Lou. There's a lot of good people that I had that were, as you said, mentors to me. And that's why I'd like to be a mentor back. Brother Dan, this is one of the best interviews I've done, man.
Man, cool. It's all the pleasure is all on this side of the screen, on this side of the microphone for sure, because I'm enjoying meeting you. And once again, we're not just going to be a one shot. I'm going to keep following you around on your various social medias, finding out what's going on as time progresses. And if you want to come back, you definitely come back and you promote whatever's going on in the world. I mean, I see I'm just looking at your profile picture. For anybody that doesn't think that a lot of these stories can't be verified because way back then there wasn't internet pictures or it didn't happen. But look at the profile picture on the Facebook page, and who is he standing with? Who are you standing with?
Oh, that probably was that Dougie?
It's Dougie Fresh. That's Dougie Fresh, yeah. Man, the original beatbox.
Yeah, we were young in that picture, I think, right there, man.
Yeah, you were. All right. Hey, I know I've taken a lot of your time. You've already given shout outs. Usually I do that as we wind down. You've already done it. You've already been giving credit where credit is due. It says a lot about your character that you're not so self-absorbed to not know that there's people around you. There's people in this world. You gotta. I think what it was I don't know if this makes any sense, but if you sweep your own front door, if everybody swept their own front door, the whole world will be clean. So take care of the community around you, and then work your way out as possible, as needed. as as much as possible. Oh, I love it, man. I'm enjoying meeting you, Mike Mich, and I've enjoyed following you around. And I want to go ahead and wind this thing down. Unless
did you get a chance to hear the new single that I had called "I Can't Stress"?
I have not, but I will take a listen to it.
I should have. If you, it's on Spotify, but it's perfect. It's clean. And if I had one thing, man, I would love to get with you with your expertise, because you've been on terrestrial radio. I've never really had something broken on terrestrial radio. Maybe if you take a look into it or check it out, maybe you'll like it. It's real simple. I Can't Stress it.
Well, let me give you a little bit of advice on that one. It's hard to get broken out on radio stations anymore, but the easier ones are the ones that are like mom and pops, only one station. And I say mom and pops, to have one station is $100,000. That's minimum. You need to have $100,000 in your bank account before you can even think about opening one radio station. And so, but it's it's those ones that were just one, not like, the ones that own 400 radio stations across the country, 200 radio stations across the country. Those are harder to break into. But if you can get that one station.
Did they used to give you that opportunity to break records like that?
When I was at the one little radio station, when I was, when I was at Exito 105.5 down in Miami, it's not there anymore. It's no longer there. But that was the station. People would come in, they would bring me CDs, and they would say, take a listen to this. And I'd take a listen. Yeah, I like that. Boom. Talk about it. Hey, this is a new one from Mike Mich. He's out of Kalamazoo. And I want you to take a listen to it because I love it and I want you to love it too. Bam. And you put that record on the turntable, on that CD in the CD player, and you put it out to the people in that number 12 Miami market. And, maybe millions of people get to listen to it. But now with streaming, maybe millions more get to listen to it. That's fantastic, man.
That's real.
But are you performing anywhere in the next little bit?
I have some shows coming up in 2024 planned right now, but right now I've been focusing on the podcast a little bit, and then finishing up. I'm putting out. I do have an album that I've been playing around too much, but I got to get it released, or it won't be worth anything. I got an album coming out called 20 Jordan.
Well, what's the best place to find you, Mike Mich, for the people to connect with you online?
The best way to find me online is just to go ahead and type MIC space MICH, Mike Mich, like microphone or Michigan or Mich or pizza delivery, or you can do a couple of these different things, or the Urbanites or the Michigan. I'd be gladly to be pulled up with any of those people and those people in the situation, and my people down in Florida, CPMG. Gosh, I can't believe I'm not shouting out my man Killer Kane and Diamond Bars, because they really helped elevate my sound when I went to Florida. And they're, besides being solid people, their studio is fabulous. So if you're ever in Orlando, Florida, and you need a studio, look up 1011 Studios in Orlando. And Killer is the best chef. He has a food truck. Do yourself a favor, just get the whole package.
I used to box in a gym down in Orlando, Florida, really? Candyman's Gym on Church Street. And this thing, it was like old school, rocky stuff falling off the walls. And it was
KeysDAN, they don't know nothing about no Church Street right there, brother.
No, it was like on the wrong side of Church Street, like way down at the end, to where things are starting to fall apart a little bit. But that was a great gym. I enjoyed that. Chris, the Candyman. I don't even know if he's still around, but he trained me for probably 8 months, and in that old school gym, man, just having a good time. But man,
we're gonna have to chop it up some more to find out. I didn't know he's in the boxing, man.
Oh man, hey, you were talking about the kids and football, and hey, football, boxing, it's tough. It's tough on a brain. That's very controversial, man. And I'm glad that you're looking out. You're protecting the kids. There's a reason why soccer is the best sport in the world, every place else except the United States, because it's running. It's a lot of running. It's a lot of exercise. Yeah. Maybe it's not high scoring. That's the problem that we have with it. Here you want to score 6 points on one touchdown and 3 points on one field goal. You want to get high scores. You want to get, basket after basket, 3 points for a basket. What's this 1 point in a game? Really? The score was 1-0.
Not only that, but that soccer doesn't stop, so you can't really make no money off it with the advertising, because what you gonna do? You're gonna say we're gonna take a break. They're not taking a break.
There's no break. There is no break.
The clock is running, and they're running all day long. You might even somebody come get a yellow card. The clock's still running, and then at the end of the game, they're gonna make up that time to get. Soccer is something different, and it is. It's amazing because when I work with these little children, they all want to play soccer. There's one or two that want to hit the ball and play baseball, or a couple that's got a nice jump shot, and there's only like 2 or 3 that want to run track and do high knees all day long, or run a bunch of laps. Those are only crazy ones that want to do that, but everybody else wants to pretty much run soccer and kick the ball all crazy and stuff.
Well, that's where people like you and me come into the game, where we can do advertising as we're talking. And this portion of the podcast brought to you by I'm From the Zoo podcast, a podcast by Mike Mich. And continuing on, look at the field, so you got to be able to do it in motion, man. If the game never stops, your talking never stops as well. Your information that you're sending out to the world never stops. Mike Mich, this is not the last time that we talk. We're going to talk again as time progresses. We will cut it up, as you kids say, out there. I speak the lingity. I know what you're saying, but I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by. This could be something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Mike Mich, give the last words for the people.
I will say Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is required.
Well, there you have it, party people. Mike Mich. I don't know. Well, should I pronounce it Mike Mich for Michigan, or Mike Mich because it looks like Mitch, like the name Mitch? I probably should have asked that. Maybe the next show. I'm going to go with Mike Mich because he's from Michigan. Kalamazoo. Oh, what a great sounding place. I need to get to Kalamazoo just to say, yeah, I've been to Kalamazoo. From Kansas to Kalamazoo. But wherever you're at to Kalamazoo. It just sounds pretty interesting, isn't it? So good to finally make your acquaintance there, Mr. Mike Mich. I look forward to hearing more from you as time progresses. I know we've only barely even talked about what you do, but I think the people got a good idea of who you are, and that you're a good dude. You're someone to know, someone to follow around, it's people helping people. All right, my friend, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thank you, Mike Mich, for being on the program. Now, if I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email KeysDAN@AOL.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.